What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Real Stories of Success podcast with Austin Lahr. I am Ryan Herget, and we've got a super awesome guest in, actually two guests in studio today, so I'm excited to dive into that.
I am very excited. Before we get into that, man, you and I were kind of talking beforehand, and you've got a really cool story that just happened to you. Why don't you share that with the audience?
So, yeah, when we started this podcast, 5-6 months ago now, whenever it was, and, one of the goals of us putting this together was really to help, share some practical insights for how people may be getting into the real estate business or mortgage business. What do they need to do just by simply telling the stories of those that have maybe come before them and just done, experienced success on an awesome level. And had a gentleman reach out to me, I think it was Sunday or Monday this week, and he's like, man, I've came across your podcast. I work in sales right now and really am thinking about getting into real estate, and I love this episode. He specifically mentioned the episode with Eric Forney, and he's like, I took so much away from that. Would you have time to go grab a drink and just kind of talk about the business of real estate? And stories like that just really, make doing this so much more valuable to me, because it's all about providing, insight and, just some, background knowledge of what this business is all about, what it takes to be successful. Because I think in the business of real estate and, mortgage lending, a lot of times people get into it for all the wrong reasons. They get in thinking that, hey, I'm going to have all this flexibility and I love showing homes. And while that's
easy.
It's so super easy. You get paid huge sums of money. You don't have to do anything, right? Well, we both know that's not the truth, but it was really exciting to sit down with Sean yesterday and really just kind of talk about the business of real estate with him, and he stumbled upon it from our podcast. So I was super excited about that.
I love. Well, first off, we love when people listen to the podcast,
right? That's helpful.
Yeah. And I would throw it out there. Any of our listeners out there, if you aren't in the industry, or maybe you're that onesie twosie person in the industry and you want to learn more, I think you and I'd be willing to sit down, right?
No, absolutely.
And reach out to us. All our contact information's here. Austin L at Fairway MC.
And absolutely. Reach out to us by text, email, phone call. Jason does a great job putting all of that information in the show notes and on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. But I think that's one of the things that you and I really share is a true passion for helping people and a passion for teaching and helping people live their best life. And that's I think the business of real estate and mortgage lending is a great way to experience success at a great level. It can be super rewarding, but it also takes a lot of work. And so that's what we're here about is, bringing in awesome people like our guest today and really learning from their stories, learning from their experience. So maybe somebody else, can maybe shortcut that learning curve and get their business off the ground a little bit more quickly.
Absolutely. And we appreciate all you guys listening. So let's get to our guests. Very, very excited. We have Jill Turner and Bill Foxworthy here with us. They are a daughter-father team. So we've had teams on, but we haven't had a daughter-father team. And quick side note, I've actually known Jill since we were in middle school. So very cool to see how our careers have paralleled here. But these guys were listing and sales leader for Carpenter Northeast, 58 million career sales, and also top 20 Carpenter agents in 2019. So they have a lot to share with us, guys. So thank you. Thank you for coming on the show, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Austin. Go ahead, man.
I would say, first thing that I would want to know is let's talk about background, right? So Bill, presumably you've been doing this a little bit longer than Jill has, right? But tell us, how'd you get into the industry?
Well, actually, when I was dating back in the 70s, my wife now, we took the real estate class together, and that was BC, before children. And we loved doing it then, but then when we had the kids, we had to put it off. So I had a passion to do this all these years, and then I had finished my career at Ameritech and AT&T, and then I had a career in the military as well. So in 2005, I started at Carpenter Realtors, and everything just has been going smooth ever since. Just success story, because if you really have a passion to do something, the chances of being good at it are much higher.
Yeah,
without a doubt. So tell us how you guys really kind of came together, and I definitely want to dive into some of the differences. You mentioned that you were in real estate for a little while, Bill. Back in the 70s, and certainly it was an incredibly different time in how people went about the process of buying and selling homes, but still the same general needs. People are always families growing, downsizing, and so people still have those those life changes that make a move very important. So I'm super anxious to dive into that. But how did you guys come together together as a father and daughter duo? Because I think that's super cool. You see a lot of husband-wife teams perhaps, or just general teams, but I think your dynamic is super special. So tell us a little bit about that. How'd that come together?
Absolutely. So I was working for a home builder, as Austin mentioned, maybe you did. So we both worked for CP Morgan back in the day. Yeah. And I was back to school for interior design. I'd had a brief stint as a Marion County probation officer. That's a different life entirely. That wasn't fun. There's no positivity in that job. So I went back to interior design school, stayed at CP for a while, and then just really liked what I did, but there was no opportunities in interior design in the market time of that. So I went for my license, and when I had my daughter, who was born in 2011, I started to sort of shadow him and see if it would work out, and we just figured that it was working more as a team, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, just the advantages of being together. And learning from him. I have a huge respect for the way he does his business, and a really good mentor, and that's something that I think a lot of people need off the bat, and they don't realize they need it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk about some of those advantages, and what are some of those advantages as working as a team, but not necessarily just as the team, but as a daughter-father team, right? Because you don't see that nearly as much as you do other kinds of teams.
Well, we're able to offer 24/7 coverage, and we are continuously backing each other up.
Yeah.
If we match up with a client a certain way, their personality type, Jill may be the best one.
I may work better with a younger crowd, perhaps, and we can meet them together and establish who will be the primary point of contact. We don't want to advertise 2 for 1, or anything like that as agents, but we can collaborate with our ideas and provide feedback and brainstorming, I think, to better our business.
Very cool. Very cool.
Right. I have some designations from the past, military relocation professional, and since I'm retired military, that's one of my places that I really excel in. But Jill, I can share the knowledge I've learned with that capacity with Jill, and then she can jump in there. She's very flexible.
And being able to say that too, that we're a team, and he has these designations. I have a background in design. It sort of appeals to a lot of people, I think.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Especially being in interior design, I can only imagine as you're helping people get their homes ready to go on market. I mean, that's a huge piece of what we do in our business is helping make sure that if they're going to spend $1 getting their house ready to sell, that they're going to get 2 back out or more ideally, and they're not throwing good money after bad. So tell us a little bit about Bill. Obviously, you've worked in the military. You've got a military career, and Jill with yours in interior design. How do those really help complement your business? And have you been able to kind of leverage those different value points and relationships that you've established there to grow your business? Tell us that story a little bit.
I think that I can appeal to a lot of folks with that background. Just it's one of those things of design, that will be really great, because I think that they think of that not only as an advantage of selling but potentially buying, and we utilize that as a tool where when we're going to the house, it might be pretty color specific or something. Let's just see, can you envision this, that, or the other? So a lot of folks have a hard time with that. And I think you can speak on that a little too, but with the military background, there's a lot of respect with that, not unspoken at all. I mean, people really respect that background, and we find that connects well with a wide population.
Many times the military people that are stationed here temporarily, it may not be the best idea for them to buy a house, and we present that to them. Maybe now's not the best time. So what's best for the client? And we understand their temporary orders, their transfers. We understand everything that they're going through as a family, the separation and all that. So we're able to provide a comforting feeling for them to work with us.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that too. So I want to kind of dive into, we talk about marketing a lot on this podcast, right? We want to know, how people are marketing, how are they doing different. Everyone talks about social media and they talk about all this stuff, but as a family team, how are you guys marketing? What are some of the things that you guys are doing?
That's the first thing that we usually say, because it's, I'm Jill Turner, but I'm also on a team with my father. And we are your point of contacts throughout the whole process. we do that through BombBomb. Videos are really helping, I think,
Absolutely.
too.
Love that.
We need to do more of them together, maybe like a canned one. But I kind of like to personalize them more. So that's something that we've been working on a little bit, and in 2020 thinking more about that as marketing. We're also one of Dave Ramsey's endorsed local providers too as a team, and that's helped out a lot because his followers are just somehow appreciate that, I think, connection and that we work so well together. I think a lot of people do. They like when we can go to appointments together. We used to always go, but it's becoming harder and harder now. But when we do, there's just a big respect, I think, that people have. That
sets you apart.
It sort of does. And some people are like, gosh, I could never work with my dad. And then others are like, I wish I could work with my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's super special. The fact that you guys can, as a family unit, work together, and I think it all really does build in some trust. My wife and I work together as well in our business, and it's really awesome to go on appointments and just like you were saying, Jill. I mean, sometimes you don't know until you meet with somebody, and that's why it's so great. Maybe my personality doesn't always work as well as maybe hers does with a specific client, and so you kind of divide and conquer.
Absolutely.
And it also ultimately kind of leads to a better experience, I feel, for your clients at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, and then knowing that they have a secondary person is really important, and just in case they couldn't reach us or something.
Absolutely.
Yep.
A lot of our business comes through past clients, and we have very powerful stay in touch campaigns that we send to them all the time. And we've actually had some customers that their children are going to jail. I've had sold their parents' house, and now they're going to jail for their children to buy
That's
houses.
cool.
So that's
Isn't that
really
rewarding? Like,
Now you just need a
when you get-
millennial to add, right?
I know. Yep.
Got to keep going younger.
I know.
So let's dive into that, Bill, because you just brought up something that I think so many different industry professionals maybe neglect a little bit. We all want to have this massive database of past clients, right? But your ability to market to those people and stay top of mind is something Austin and I always talk about. Is how do you stay top of mind to the people that already know, like, and trust you, right? How do you do that? So if you don't mind, can you give us a couple trade secrets? I know you mentioned BombBomb, as a way to use that, and we use that as well. I love BombBomb. But anything else that you guys would be willing to maybe share with the general audience as far as how you're staying in front of your past clients, your sphere of influence,
Sure.
to really provide that type of impact?
I know one thing that we've learned through our own mastermind trainings and things like that is just go above and beyond, especially with those folks. At the closing, it's nice to have a gift and remember me. But I think that beyond that, so something that I try to do socially, if I'll friend them, and it's beyond just a happy birthday card or something. So we've done things where we knew it was move-in day and we brought them a case of beer, and that was a huge thing. They just that little itty bit, was a big deal to them because it was an August day and it was so hot. So I think those just memorable moments and creating those for all of our past clients is so important. Bringing a baby gift to somebody who just finally had the baby after they moved in, that's huge for us. And we genuinely, when we're going through the transaction, I know that you can attest to this too, we really get to know these guys, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
this is a huge personal transaction going on, and it becomes very fun and interesting and worrisome and scary for everybody. So we've ridden the ride, and I don't want it to end there. So we really just keep in touch in any of those ways, but beyond just the standard of an email,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
or a quantum mail. We send quantum mail, but we like to talk to them too after the sale and see how things are going. We just keep that constant calling and seeing how everybody's doing.
And Austin, something that people really love now is the HomeBot. I'm sure you've talked about that.
We
maybe.
have, yeah.
And that's been really great as a reason to call too.
No doubt.
Maybe
Yes.
somebody's it's a 5-year-old client. It's 5 years ago, and you never really hit it off that well, but you can call and they love the HomeBot. I saw a past client at the eye doctor for my daughter, and that's what we talked about
really?
because I just put him in there. I hadn't yet called him about it, and so he's like, I love that thing, and no intention of selling now.
Sure.
But a good point of difference to.
Yeah, I love that. So let's go down that path a little bit. So are there other technologies that you guys are using, social media? You guys mentioned BombBomb, you mentioned HomeBot, Quantum Mail. Anything else that you guys are using really technology-wise?
Well, we like to get reviews from all of our customers.
That's a great one, yeah.
And temporarily, we're using Zillow reviews And we always ask for a review, and then with our company, it automatically flows into our website, that review. So
nice.
That's some really good technology to do that.
Yeah.
No doubt.
A good CRM with our company too.
perfect.
Carpenter provides that to us, and then they do some what's called Paradigm Reach Social. So that's just kind of it is a set it and forget it, but they're on our social pages. The Paradigm, which is that visual tour, right, that you can create. We've partnered with them, and they'll provide just canned, beautiful bits on real estate or landscape or whatever you want. All these different things that automatically spill into our Facebook page on the weekly. So that's really nice. Yeah.
And I think it's important to really have a bunch of different mediums like that, at least 2 or 3, to stay in front of people, because not everybody is on social media as, maybe often as we are, perhaps, or not everybody looks at the email. And so, Bill, you mentioned making the phone calls as well. And I know that's something that a lot of real estate agents that at least I work with, really struggle to do. It's like, the further and further we get into this world of technology, so many people seem to struggle to pick up the phone and just make a phone call and build that, relationship over the phone, which I still, I personally still feel is the most powerful way to do it.
Yes.
Having a live conversation with somebody. How do you guys get past that, and how big of a part of your business is still picking up the phone and just having conversations with people versus just relying on technology?
I think I was listening to another podcast that you had, and it's just get over yourself, right? And it really is. And I've heard that so many times. Just pick up the darn phone, make the call. If they say no, it's okay. I can't remember, and I tell this to my kids, how many times I've been told no, and that's okay. And we have to have humor about it too. There's a hilarity in this business.
Absolutely.
That. Especially working with a family member, it's just fun, and we have to remember that before we pick up the phone. But it's also time blocking, I think, is crucial, and that's something that I'm really focusing in for both of us as we plan ahead, is just making time in the day to make the calls, right? And it's maybe a weekly basis of your past clients, and then your warm leads, and then your hot leads every day, just checking in. Yeah, because they're going to forget you in a heartbeat.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, if you don't stay up on it.
And in our mastermind, we have a monthly mastermind meetings with Dave Ramsey, and we listen to the top agents all across the country. And if you're in a local office, there's a lot of competition, but you don't really feel that competitiveness in your when you're on a Dave Ramsey call. And we're always coming up with new techniques of how the best practices.
Monthly improvements, and where to,
We talk about that a lot too on this podcast is, educate yourself, right? You guys are going out and you're getting into masterminds and you're hearing other opinions and maybe bigger opinions than you can necessarily get in the Indy or Indiana area. That's great. We talk about that quite a bit. I'd like to hear what you guys have in the future. What does this look like for Jill and Bill going forward, and any big plans on the horizons?
Go ahead.
We've got a lot of tools for measuring success that we're implementing this year. Our future is very bright. We know you build more confidence at one successful year after another more powerful year. Then we have higher goal. We raise the bar a little bit. We're really feeling good about the market the way it is today. With new builds, we get ourselves out there with the builders too.
Man, I think that's such a piece of the puzzle that so many real estate agents just simply neglect is new home construction, right? And going in there, I know Austin and I are huge fans of new home construction, and it's a big part of both of our businesses. And so many real estate agents don't take the time. They want to just get on the MLS and set everybody up on an auto search, versus actually going out and meeting some of the new home sales consultants and building relationships with those folks as well, because they can be such advocates for you, and they can, it's such a fun way to do business. And who doesn't like a nice new shiny home, versus home built in 1968 that has water in the crawl space.
I know, and with the low inventory, that's the first place that we often go. That's how you and I reconnected. Austin is through Arbor and working with a client there. So, and you want to do that. You want to do that right away. If there's even a hint of them saying, "Hey, we might want to look there," call every local builder and go ahead and get them registered.
Absolutely.
And set up that appointment. I mean, those folks work certain hours. They're going to come in and meet with you.
Yeah.
It's a great, and the inventory homes that they have too is a good opportunity as well. But going back to the future, I think he's planning on going for a long time. And I'll ride the roller coaster as long as he wants to.
20 more years.
20 more years, yeah.
yeah.
And today he's 72. Yep.
Happy birthday.
Hey, happy birthday. Yes.
But we'll just, we take it year by year. Sometimes agents will say they take it week by week. And I think that that's a good way to think of it, too. But we already planned our year and then work our week and see where that takes us. And so far, so good.
Like with any other business, we're trying to eliminate expenses and get our expenses down. Jill showed me some technology. I've learned a lot from Jill in the past. It's called Mile IQ, and we can keep track of our business expenses so much easier. All of our mileage just goes right into a business account. We don't have to wait till the end of the year. We just collect that back. So any business has to eliminate things that are expenses and find ways to generate new revenue, just like with any business.
Without a doubt, always finding ways to improve, right?
Right.
I want to go back to something, kind of shifting gears here real quick. But you mentioned, Jill, that when you got into the business, you were really able to lean on your dad to grow and be a mentor. So,
Yeah.
Bill, to ask you a question, who were maybe some of those mentors that you had when you first got into the business? Because I think that's one of the things that so many people that have achieved strong success in this industry or any is we all generally seem to have a mentor, somebody that's kind of helped pave the way before us that we've learned from and kind of maybe stolen a few pages from their playbook. Who are maybe some of those people for you, and what were some of those lessons?
Well, my number one mentor for 46 years is my wife, Janie Foxworthy. Her and I went to real estate classes together, and we did it before in the past. But I always look to her when I can unload some of my problems, with the clients. We'll get together and brainstorm and come up with innovative solutions to those problems. So I'd say it would have to be my wife, Janie. She's here today.
I love that. I love that. Making me nervous. We've got an in-studio guest here today.
Our first one.
Yeah,
Our first
that's
one.
awesome. And she's a huge part of our business.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one really important thing too. Is you need your family. You know this, right?
Yeah.
And you work with your wife, and your wife's very supportive of you. You need that support. My husband is as well. Every week this is what the schedule's going to be. And I think for any new agent listening to that is just to have a support system around you, someone that is embracing this with you, because it affects them as well with the schedules and things like that. But when I started, it was a very much part-time, ease my way in. And I know that that's a huge advantage that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah.
And my mom had already retired from working in the school systems here, so watched my kids so that I could go to work with him. And a true blessing that, that never for a day take that for granted. So
I love that.
I couldn't say that better, right? My wife is very supportive. I talk to your wife quite often
Yeah.
because of the business too, and she is amazing counterpart to what you bring too. So I'm curious, guys. We talked about the Dave Ramsey stuff, and you guys have brought that up to me in the past. What are some really good takeaways that you guys get from the Dave Ramsey programs and masterminds that you guys are in? What are you bringing back to your business?
Well, one would be our goal is to be the first to call. So. We
We're
both
always
get a text.
competing, yeah.
Oh, that's
we
cool.
want to be the first one to make the call and talk to them.
When you get a
huge.
when you get a referral, even if you have no idea if they're they're always interviewing other people, call them immediately. The video too, the bomb video, and making yourself a real person, I think is incredibly important, because the way they get those leads is just 3 folks, 3 names. And they have no idea who we are, right? And so we just really want to create that memorable moment. And that's also in contacting them X amount of times, and not just an email anymore.
Right.
It's not working. Yeah. So, and those folks are very like-minded to us. If you are a Dave Ramsey fan, you did your baby steps, you're working on, you don't want to live a life full of debt. And I love working with those folks who are really striving to get out of that position. And they trust us. We have the heart of a teacher for them. They trust us to know that we want them to get a good investment. It's not just a number. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let me ask, kind of take another step here as we look towards the future here. We've seen a lot of disruptions in the real estate market over the last couple of years, especially. We've been dealing with, Zillow instant offers just, came into our market. They've been around the country for a long time. That iBuyer type mentality. But, I still firmly believe that real estate's a business of relationships. And when you're dealing with things that are expensive, that you don't buy very often and are relatively emotional purchases, there's always kind of a need for a consultant. But how do you maybe work through some of those challenges or disruptions that we've seen in the real estate market on your own, and maybe combat maybe that person that's considering maybe selling their home to Zillow versus selling it with a real estate agent? What's your experience or take on that?
I just went to the Myboer Northside meeting on that whole topic of disruptors in the industry, and just what one of the gentlemen said something really fascinating. Like you buy, you buy pens on Amazon. You don't buy a house on Amazon, and so it's just really interesting that anybody would go there. I find that a lot of our own business isn't coming from that direction. They're not. We don't get a onesie twosie, hey, let me interview a full-time, full-service agent. They're just doing their research on their own. So I haven't directly experienced those yet, but I know it's definitely out there. But I think going back to that same meeting, it was just don't focus on the negative, strive through, and then focus on your sphere of influence, work with the people that you know. And if there's people who are giving you guff about, I can sell this on Zillow, then you might want to just let them go.
Sure.
Not everybody's meant to work together. So, I don't know.
After we have the most powerful home marketing system at Carpenter Realtors, we sit down with people and we have a lot of leave behind flyers. But if they talk to Zillow and then they talk to us, we can compete and we can win the listing.
Absolutely. Because I think it does go back to your ability to bridge that gap between stranger and friend and build that relationship, to build that trust, because that's what it's all about, right?
It is, and sitting down with them too, and just having a conversation. We don't call it a listing presentation yet so much anymore. Consultation, a conversation, and showing them everything that we do usually results in there's no question at the end what makes sense. So,
we can show them the value that we're going to offer.
I think that's it. I mean, that's why people hire us, is because we can provide a value that they're not going to be able to get on their own, or by, clicking a few buttons and uploading their photos onto, a platform similar to that.
And then they don't know what to do after that.
Right, because there's so many moving parts when you're selling a house, and then you get a buyer comes in that has a different perspective than you do as the person selling it. So, no, I love your approach on that. So thank you for sharing.
Sure. Yeah, you guys said something very powerful earlier about you became friends with all of them. Right. And I mean, that's the way to combat iBuyers. It just is, right?
Yeah.
We sat down with, I was in a presentation, OfferPad. Pretty recently. And it's a powerful, there's a lot of money behind it, but they can't get behind, there's no way to combat being friends with them.
Right.
There's no way to combat that relationship with those
Not
guys.
at all.
So yeah. Well, as we kind of start to get wrapped up, I want to make sure that everybody sees that if you are just listening to this, you can also get on YouTube and see all of Bill and Jill's contact information here. What's a good way to get a hold of you guys if someone has questions for you?
Sure. Bill and Jill team at callcarpenter.com. That's probably the best way. And my phone number is 317-446-7171.
My number is 317-374-2462.
Very cool.
Call us today.
Very cool. No, we really can't tell you how much we appreciate your time, and you've shared so much here that I've written down here. But one of the things that has really stood out to me, and I think will be the title of this episode, is creating memorable moments. I've never heard that term before, and I absolutely love that, because that's what it's about. It's about creating those experiences for your client, and maybe taking something that would be a relatively stressful experience, or could be stressful, I should say, and creating a memorable moment for them. I absolutely love that, because that's what this is all about. That's why somebody's going to call you back a second and a third time over the course of lifetime value of a customer. So that's cool. So thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Well, so that is going to wrap up another edition of the Real Stories of Success podcast. Again, I don't know how you couldn't have taken away a ton from this episode. So if you did, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell on YouTube, and make sure to receive the notifications for any new episodes we have coming up. Austin, anything else we need to cover today?
No, guys, we appreciate you very much, and reach out to us, like we said, if you have any questions or really just want to sit down and have a coffee.
We appreciate everybody's time. Thanks so much today.
Bye, guys.